find yourself here just on basic guard recovery. When they go to pass your guard, you recover. And there are some little tricks where you can go hold your shin and so forth and so on. But here's what needs to happen. This leg needs to clamp down. My right leg has got to shoot through, and to shoot it through, there's going to be typically a little bit of a hip out, which you'll see my hip move out a little bit. That lets this leg shoot through with relative ease, okay? When the leg shoots through with relative ease, it also lets me pull his armpit towards my left side. If I'm flat on my back and I force my knee through there, what typically can happen is when I shoot it through, things start to loosen up and my triangle goes on loose. And it leaves room for him to duck his head and pull his head out. Not the end of the world, we can recover, okay? But if we do a little hip out, okay, if I put my hip out a little bit, what that lets me do is it makes a different angle with my right leg. And I'm able to catch his armpit with my hamstring. When we catch the armpit with the hamstring, it allows us to pull him with my right leg into a position where now we have a very finishable triangle. I'm flat on my back, he is down. We can back heel with our left leg, and then I can go and lock it with my right, okay? We should feel that when we lock the triangle, it goes on very well. My hamstring is in his neck, ready to finish. My left hamstring is in the neck, and we have his shoulder locked out in that far position. To finish, we flex the left leg up. I draw my right leg in and straight rather than crooked. I want to make sure my right leg becomes straight up and down. And then we back heel our right foot and look to place it on the mat. So it goes in, my left leg activates first. The left foot flexes, my right leg adjusts, and then I back heel and I look to place my legs on the mat. The same time here, I'm looking to dominate this wrist. I want to pull this wrist in. I don't need to pull, I need to hold the wrist in. When I do all those things very well and I begin to squeeze and bring my legs to the mat and then squeeze the knees together, we get a very, very effective reverse triangle here, side triangle. But that hipping out and the straightening of this leg to pull our training partner into position right over the top of my hips is a very, very good idea to stick with in this scenario, rather than just shooting your leg straight and trying to lock a triangle. If you're failing this, if people are sliding their head out, that's probably where you're going a little bit astray, is to you're just shooting your legs for the triangle. If you hip out and pull, back heel and pull with your hamstring, I think you'll find that you have a higher percentage of success landing this thing. So again, we go for our arm. The left leg doesn't bend first. It goes straight, my hips go up, and then my back of my knee touches the neck, and then the leg goes down. That'll set you up for success. It keeps a space out of the back of my knee. So his neck is relatively attached to the back of my knee. And when his arm comes out, we move our hips out a bit. Okay? My right arm, the job of my right arm is still to stay on this side of the waist. We're gonna see why. I don't want my arm underneath him in this scenario. I wanna keep it here to make sure that I have some very, very strong follow-up attacks. And if it fails, we get to the guard. So I prefer to hold on to the lat. And there's the hipping out. There's the hamstring pull, and then I move my body in. There's a pulling and an attachment of my two knees. My left leg is extending, my right leg is pulling. So there's a slight scissoring of the legs, which allows me to put his head directly over my hips. We can now lock the triangle. I go and flex my left leg up and into my shin, and then the right leg engages, goes straight. I squeeze my knees together, and we get a very strong finish. What I mean by this left leg has a very important role, and it plays a really important role on this side triangle, the inverted side triangle, and our Yoko Senkaku from the top. What it does is when you guys lock it, it pulls it moves in this direction. So it pulls my shin into place. And then when you bring your right leg, in this case my right leg, to a straight position, it really cinches everything up and basically make sure that triangle is a very tight triangle. This is the same as our Yoko Senkaku from the top there. is that we drive our shin in, our foot into our shin. Back triangle is the same. When we are on the back triangle, we drive our foot into our calf, and we're able to make sure that we're able to make a much tighter squeeze on our leg position. Just sets everything up. So one more time. Feet down, same arm lock, straight leg approach. He yanks his arm out, I move my body to the side, and then I scissor my legs. A little bit of a squeezing scissor. We lock our figure four. Now pay attention to the left leg. The left leg engages, the right leg straightens. We pull this down and in, and we have a very tight reverse triangle there, side triangle from the bottom. Very tight, very nice attack when somebody yanks their arm out of this scenario. And again, you may get yourself into this position from many positions, not just going from that arm lock scenario. Okay, when we lock up our reverse triangle or side triangle from the bottom, we can sweep from there. If you're not able to submit with it, we can just go into the sweep. I'm a fan. You can, because when you finish a triangle, you can hug the hip. I could take my left arm, or my right arm, and I could reach under Nick's body and hug his hip, similar to this. So if I have this triangle already locked on, okay? If I chose to, I could come under and hug this hip and really commit to finishing this triangle, okay? And it is a very finishable triangle. So by all means, if that's what you choose, it's okay. My matter of preference is to have many scenarios if this thing, I feel like this is failing. And sometimes if I take my right arm and commit it under the body, we may struggle with follow-up scenarios. So I've always been a fan of keeping my right arm in this area. And I've never found a very difficult problem that if the triangle is locked on and I do everything with my legs well, I'm still able to get a very finishable triangle without hugging the hip. But what can happen is if it starts to fail, I want to move on before Nick counters me. Okay? We can go over the counter in a few minutes, but I want to move on. One particular strong follow-up is to take my right arm over the top of his body, post up on my left arm, and sweep him using the fact that I have a shin over the top of his head. It looks like an up and over. So we'll plant our right foot on the mat. I post up on my left elbow. My arm needs to be above his body. And then we're gonna turn and plant this knee towards the mat. The thing is this, I don't wanna be clunky. So I don't wanna drive my knee to the floor. I wanna use my right foot and the fact that I'm posted on my elbow to turn him and then bring my hip up and over Nick, okay? That sweeps him relatively easy. If I think about when I'm in this triangle, if I think about when my arm's up and I'm on my elbow, if I think about just turning him over, it's very clunky. And my knee, the distance that I travel to get to my knee may stop that sweep. So here's what we do without poor Nick there, getting his head, it's great, is this leg doesn't just go to the floor. I use my right leg to think about driving all